This video is brought to you by
Cool green clothing coming straight up out of that DMV. You know what it is. This that Baltimore designer right here. Come on now, come and show some love and show some support. Go online right now, coolgreenclothing.com, and make your purchase. Oh yeah, by the way, if you ain't cool and getting the green, you're in the way, and that's just basic.
What's up, fam? It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another video. In this episode of the Baltimore Way, I'll be discussing the tragedy of Pamela Pitts, a beloved East Baltimore community member who lost her life in an apartment fire. But there was more to what others thought was just an unfortunate accident. Before we get into this video, welcome if you're new here to our channel. Please feel free to subscribe. Click that notification bell to get notified every time we upload. If you're rocking with the content, don't forget to hit that like button. Be sure to share this video and make sure you watch until the end to hear the full story. All right, let's jump right into it. Pamela Pitts was born in April 1966 in Dover, Delaware. At some point in her life, Pam moved to Baltimore and would eventually become an admired community member. Pam was a mother and grandmother who extended her love beyond her family. By 2021, Pam was living in the Latrobe Homes public housing complex for 3 years. She was known to her neighbors as Miss Pam or Auntie Pam. Residents of the community described her as a kind and generous person. She cared about everyone. She spoke to everybody. She loved oldies but goodies music. One neighbor said they would sit on her porch together and listen to her favorite songs. Miss Pam was known to open her doors to whoever was in need. One of those people she helped said if Miss Pam felt as though your spirit and your energy was for the best, she would open her door to you. Miss Pam would spend her time volunteering and giving meals to those in need. She was so nice to everybody. When Miss Pam wasn't helping others, she enjoyed caring for her houseplants and the neighborhood cats, buying lottery scratch-offs and playing Candy Crush. In the early morning hours of Tuesday, September 14th, 2021, just before sunrise, a resident in Latrobe looked out of their window and saw a heavy fire coming from an apartment in the complex. They went over to the apartment and realized it was Miss Pam's place. They kicked in the door and called out to her, but she didn't respond. The person did everything they could to try to get inside until the smoke started to take them over. They couldn't see or breathe, so they had to retreat. Firefighters and police arrived at the scene around 5:30 a.m. The flames seemed to be engulfing the entire building, but the fire was contained to the first floor apartment. Once the fire was extinguished, firefighters discovered that someone had sadly passed away inside. That person was identified as 55-year-old Pamela Pitts. Miss Pam was transported to the medical examiner's office where an autopsy was conducted. The medical examiner's findings revealed that Miss Pam had passed away before the fire in her apartment began. She had been shot and her passing was ruled a homicide. Everyone in the community was heartbroken that Miss Pam had lost her life in such a horrible manner. No one could believe that someone would want to hurt her, and why? Miss Pam was not known to have any enemies, so who could have done this? Memorials in Miss Pam's honor were placed in front of the door of the burnt apartment where she lived. She was remembered by everyone for the good that she did for others. Police began their preliminary investigation, and the arson unit was on the case as well. More than 2 weeks would go by until police announced that they had arrested a suspect in Miss Pam's slaying. 52-year-old Keith Fleming was taken into custody in October 2021. According to a police report, surveillance cameras in the Latrobe housing community showed Keith entering Miss Pam's apartment and then leaving after it caught on fire. He was seen walking back to an apartment on the opposite end of the building where he was said to be living. During an interview, Keith reportedly told detectives that he and Pam were involved in a relationship. Although Keith never confessed to slaying Pam during his interview, he did tell detectives he'd been with Miss Pam and her brothers until 2:30 a.m. that morning, playing cards and watching the Ravens game. That would have been about an hour and a half before the cameras first saw Keith leaving Miss Pam's apartment. According to records, detectives also found out from Miss Pam's daughter that Miss Pam had not seen her brothers for quite some time. She hadn't seen one in 4 months prior to her passing, and the other she hadn't seen for a number of years, respectively. Reports said when Keith was seen leaving Miss Pam's apartment, the fire could be seen through the bedroom window. Police wrote in their report that Keith slayed Miss Pam before setting her apartment on fire in an attempt to conceal her slaying. Keith was charged with first-degree hit, among other charges related to Miss Pam's slaying and the fire. He was held without bail at Central Bookends. After a year and a half and multiple rejected plea offers, Keith Fleming's trial date was set for April 2023. He was facing more than 50 charges. That included 9 counts of attempted hit, which may have been in reference to the other residents that could have lost their life because of the fire. Instead of a trial, Keith pleaded guilty to slaying Pamela Pitts. Keith this time accepted a plea offer for second-degree hit, arson, firearm use in a felony crime, and 5 counts of reckless endangerment. Keith is scheduled for sentencing on September 7, 2023. It's still not clear why Keith took Miss Pam's life and tried to cover it up. Keith claimed he and Miss Pam were in a relationship, so what could have went wrong? May Pamela Pitts, aka Miss Pam, and Auntie Pam continue to rest in peace. From what everyone said about Miss Pam, she didn't deserve to lose her life in that way. She is truly missed in the community that she served and gave her love and time to. Only God knows why this happened, and I send my deepest condolences to her family. I hope they were able to gain some sort of closure. I know that Keith's conviction will not bring Miss Pam back. There are still so many unanswered questions in this terrible case. I really just wondered what transpired that day. It's absolutely heartbreaking, to say the least. Fam, tell me your thoughts on this in the comments below. Alright fam, that's it for this episode of the Baltimore Way. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate the support. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 Times, and I'm out.